Hey guys, Josh from Sportitude here. Today coming at you with a shoe review, and the shoe review is going to be on the Mizuno Wave Rider 22. This little guy here. Fantastic new shoe in the Mizuno range. Some features that have slightly tweaked from this shoe from the Mizuno Wave Rider 21, which I'll touch on in this review, compare it to the old model. Yeah, we'll see if it's going to be one of your new shoes in your running closet. So without further ado, we'll get stuck in. With all my reviews, we like to start off with what foot type should be running in the Wave Rider 22. So when we're looking at this shoe, there's no medial assistance in the sense that there's no arch support inside this shoe. So it's not going to cater for an overpronated foot type. So what we're looking at a neutral to semi-supinated foot type. And like I've done in my previous reviews, get my little foot model here, we're talking about a foot type that has a high arch, quite a pitched sort of navicular region through here, so a little bit of extra height through the arch region. And when you're coming through your gait cycle, whether it be heel strike or mid strike, we're not collapsing through that medial platform through here. We're staying quite high, quite pitched through that mid stance phase, and the pressure is on the outside of that foot. And when we're coming through to toe off, we're more than likely going to be toeing off to that second, third, potentially fourth metatarsal as you go through your finish your gait cycle. So Mizuno Wave Rider 22. Look at the women's model here in my hand. I'll touch on the widths first up. So what we've got is two widths here. In the ladies, we've got a B width, and then we have a slightly more generous D width as well. So B being standard, D being a little bit wider. In the men's, we have a D, which is standard, and we have a 2E, which is slightly wider. Now, the colour I've got in my hand here, the black and gold from the men's range, only comes in the D width. So for all the colour offerings and widths, etc., hit the link below. We'll take you through to our website, and you'll get a bit of an idea of what widths are available and what colours. Let's talk about what's different from this Rider 22 in comparison to the Rider 21, and the changes a little bit in the upper and the outsole. The midsole setup stays the same. So I'll flip it upside down, we'll look at the outsoles. We've been the Rider 22 and got my hands through here. The biggest change in this shoe is the addition of an extra flex groove through the forefoot. So if you're looking through here, we've sort of got 1, 2, and almost like 2.5 flex grooves through that forefoot. So what we found with the 21, I'll get the ladies model right here, I'll tip it upside down. As you can see, it's 1.5 flex grooves. We've got one right the way through that forefoot, and then we sort of got that half flex groove through basically the ball of the foot through here. So as you can see, the comparison between the two of them, if you put your thinking hats on, what you're going to find at home is that the Rider 22 is more flexible through the forefoot, simply by having the extra flex groove. So this was a great shoe, the 21 that is, pardon me, for a potentially slightly pronated foot type. Every now and then we find pronated foot types don't like running in supportive shoes, and in some cases where we need a bit of guidance support and it still doesn't work, we drop down to a Rider 22 or a Ghost 11, etc. from another brand. Mainly reason being because we've got a little bit of rigidity under that ball of the foot, so we're getting a wee bit of protection under that first metatarsal when toeing off. Now, not the case with the 22 anymore. So, because it is so flexible through the forefoot, I would not put anyone inside this shoe that is pronating even mildly through that mid-stance to toe-off face, because the extra flexibility is just going to cause a little bit too much movement on that forefoot and open up some stress through that first metatarsal, second metatarsal, etc. So you don't want to get too much overloading through that forefoot by having a shoe that's too flexible and running a shoe that's not catered for that foot type. So that's probably why, as a Mizuno runner, you'd go, see you later, Wave Rider 22, hello, Wave Inspire 14. So that's essentially the two shoes that cater for both foot types. Now, as I said, the outsole forefoot setup has changed slightly. Looking at the outsole through the sort of contact zone through here underneath the heel, they have slightly tweaked that as well. So almost adding a little bit of flex groove as well. So we've got 1, 2 slits through the back half of the heel unit through here. It was great, it was nice and cushioned. However, what they've done is they've increased the slits 1, 2, 3, 4. So what that's going to do is it's going to provide a slightly softer, plusher feel underneath at that point of contact with the ground, especially if you're a heel striker, of course. Now, looking at the midsole setup, the Mizuno wave plate, the famous wave plate they use in all the sort of high-end running shoes, comes into play again. The wave plate is placed exactly in the same position as what it was in 21 through here. So we're talking about a wave plate that finishes just after that braking phase through the gait cycle through there. So nice and stable, plenty of rigidity through the back half of the shoe with contact to the ground, holding that midsole, keeping it nice and structured. Then from essentially this part of the shoe forward, we're talking all things flexibility in conjunction with that really flexible outsole setup. So it's really, really light, flexible shoe through toe off. So the Euphoric X is their softer, gradient of EVA, which takes more impact on point of contact with the ground. So if you look at the wave plate through here, underneath the wave plate is the Euphoric X. So they put that soft cushioning system closer to the ground to give it a bit more impact. On top of that, the Euphoric X is a slightly more responsive EVA, which will provide a little bit more support when your foot hits the ground and cradling it through to mid-starts and toe off. So that's what Mizuno are trying to achieve with the layering of the two cushioning systems. Split between that wave plate, of course. So the wave plate does a great job, holds the midsole in good shape, keeps the shoe integrity holding up from the first K right through to the last. So that's what the wave plate does, keeps it nice and structured. So when you're looking at the differences between the 21 and the 22, it's very, very minor. So you can see the colour split between the blue and the white midsole. That was being able to identify the Euphoric X and the Euphoric cushioning systems. They've gone for just the same colour, of course, more of a cosmetic change through there. However, the only real changes are in essentially the slits that they've put in the EVA itself. So obviously they've done their research and they're wanting to provide as much cushioning response as possible. So by creating a few different slits in specific areas of that midsole will hopefully, end result will be a really efficient shoe for you at home. So, as I touched on earlier, there's nothing that's been thrown into that medial side to offer any support for an overpronated foot type. It's all about a neutral to supinated foot type for this running shoe through here. And I've got to say, I've been for only one run in the Rider 22, and there was only a 5K jog, just to get a bit of a read on the feel of them. And the biggest feature that I found was all about the flexibility through the forefoot. So that was the first thing that I noticed from the first step as I went through the toe off, that wow, there is a lot of flexibility through that region through there. So I like the idea, I like that we're going with this design and this engineering. However, for someone that requires a little bit more rigidity and a wee bit more support through that area, I probably wouldn't look at the Rider 22. You've got your Wave Sky from Mizuno, and obviously there's some other competitors from other brands that you can certainly consider. Right, let's talk all things upper. We're talking a nice deep heel counter setup. So great thing about Mizuno's in the past, and I've sort of preached this over the last couple of years, is the depth of their heel counter. It's internal, it's nice and solid. However, when you put your foot in a Mizuno shoe, you know it's in. It's really deep, plenty of support and lock around the back of that calcaneus through there, which is great. They've obviously got the additional eyelet at the back there, so if you want a little bit more security around that ankle, you can just go back to that last eyelet just to lock it right in. So the mesh, we're talking a double layered mesh. So what Mizuno are trying to achieve here is keeping plenty of structure and integrity in this upper. So remembering this shoe is designed for someone who's probably going to be hitting the ground with a fair bit of force. It's almost like a speed style shoe. So hitting the ground with that amount of force, it's going to create a little bit more velocity, whether it be under pronation or over pronation. So it's really important that the shoe at the upper holds you in a really good position. So by doing that, they've stitched in the logo on the lateral side, they've stitched in the logo on the medial side, so that gives it a little bit more, you could say, structure and integrity. But the double layered mesh comes to play right through that forefoot. So when you're toeing off, it's nice and stable, nice and strong, however, really, really light and breathable. So the double layered mesh gives it plenty of strength, but also opens up the airflow through that foot, so we don't get the swelling and friction that we may get on longer runs. So there we have it, guys, the Mizuno Wave Rider 22. A great little update from Mizuno. If you've got any questions at all, please drop a comment in the video below. Anything running related, if it's on this product, you want some help selecting a new running shoe for you, yeah, just drop a comment. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And yeah, until next time, we'll see you on the road. Happy running.